y'all. Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. So today we're going to be discussing what's there is such thing as an appropriate age.
I don't know if there's an appropriate age, but I do think that you should at least be a certain age, if that makes sense. Like you should at least be 15.
So the appropriate age to you is 15.
I mean, at least 15, because there are some 15-year-olds who act like 12-year-olds. So
Okay.
like I think you should at least be 15. And then if you act your
Trying to clean it
age,
up.
if you act your age or older, then
Hmm.
I think that we could start to navigate the possibilities of dating. That's what I think.
Appropriate age is 15. Yes or
At
no?
least.
Okay, so 15.
Yeah.
I feel, like I said, my daughter is 9, and I don't believe that she likes anybody per se. And would even ask to date. But I do think that if she came home and wanted to have like ice cream or a play date, I think I would let her because I don't know if it's because I want her to keep like that line of communication open and I want her to be comfortable because I feel like at such a young age, 9, 10, 11, 12, we control all of those things. So you can be at school and say he's my boyfriend, but you're only seeing this person at school. So you don't have a boyfriend. So
Hmm.
I think that I don't know if I think there's a certain age. I guess if I had to put, I don't
But
know.
like, is it the same thing though? Is dating and play dates the same thing? I think that's different. I think like if you show interest in having a boyfriend or girlfriend and you're only 10,
Hmm.
that to me is not dating because, like you said, the parents control the situation. I think there's a difference in play dates and having a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Like, mommy, can so and so come over or can we go to the movies? Yeah, that's fine. We can all get together and do that. But then when a child has romantic feelings, they have that emotional connection with somebody and they're wanting to explore that deeper, I think there's a difference. You know what I'm saying?
I absolutely agree. So I guess even in my mind, I feel like even at 15, you control that. Would you, I guess, allow them to sit at the movies and you sit somewhere in the background, play? But I still feel like they are, I don't know if, having romantic feelings at such a young age, but I do think that they are inquisitive.
Right.
So I do think that they are at, 10 years old, 11 years old, they are discovering themselves and what they are attracted to. And I
Hmm.
think that no matter how transparent we try to be, I do think that you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And so I believe they may start
Truly.
to experiment. It might not be, very explicit, but rather it's kissing or holding hands or sitting by someone on the bus and holding their hand, whatever the case may be. I feel like that happens at a young age.
Yeah, I think it happens at a young age, but I think that it's up to the parents to try. I think shelter is a strong word, but I think that it's up to the parents to try and like contain it as much as possible. Because even though you're 11 and you're catching these feelings and you want to explore these things, I think that it's healthy, but I think that you need boundaries.
Absolutely.
Just because you have these feelings doesn't mean that you need to explore all of them. Like you
Right.
need to have set boundaries and like this is as much as you can do. Now, if you want to do more, let's talk about it. And I am completely an advocate for open communication between parent and child. And I think the more open you are, the more your child will be receptive to that. They
Yes.
will be like, "Hey mom, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm feeling." And then y'all can go from there. Like, okay, well, if you want to hold hands, that's understandable, but then what's next? Because once you hold hands,
Exactly.
hug and kiss and do all that stuff, I think that as parents, we should be like, okay, I know you want to hold his hand or you want to hold her hand, but how about we just play in the sand right now or something?
Yeah, that's why I mean, I guess that is, I guess, a confusing question. And granted, it shouldn't be because I feel like if my daughters came home and said that they like somebody, I guess my mind goes straight to dating because I feel like the world is just so much more advanced. Malia has a friend right now that is the same age as her, and her mom allows her to say that she has a boyfriend and stuff. And when I spoke to her mom, she was very candid and just said that, I want my daughter to be able to talk to me. And I felt like that too, because in my mind, I just feel like, well, they can't do anything. But then, her mother also lets her talk to the boy on the phone and just so on and so forth. So I limit, Malia's conversations and stuff like that on the phone. I initially didn't want her to feel like her talking to a male friend was a big deal because I felt like if I made it a big deal, then she would be inquisitive as to why.
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess dating to me means different things. I mean, I feel like it's stages to it. And I guess naively in my mind, I feel like if I downplay it and just allow her to explore safely and implement those boundaries, then I feel like I don't have to put an age on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that the age thing, I don't know. I think the age thing does vary. And I think because we think differently on what dating is and isn't, I think that's where like the age is kind of fuzzy. But like with me and my parents, I couldn't have phone calls. I couldn't talk to the opposite sex. I couldn't do anything. And I think to just like shut it down and not even have it be an option, I think that's just as bad as allowing them to do everything all at once.
Yeah, agree. Because I wasn't allowed to date at all. My mom is very religious and it wasn't even an option. But I will
Mhm.
say that I believe from that, I snuck around. I snuck around and talked to boys on the
Right.
phone. And
Yeah.
I for sure just did not want that for Malia. And realistically, I mean, if a boy said he wants to be her Valentine and stuff like that, I don't care about stuff like that. But as far as like, I don't know, because I feel like I said, I feel like even in this time, I feel like boys are giving girls gifts, girls are giving boys gifts, and they feel like they are dating. So that's why I feel like it's hard for me to put a number on it.
Yeah. See, and that's where, like, so talking to my youngest, he's 10. He's not interested right now. Like,
Same.
he talks about certain attributes of girls, like, oh, their hair is long and pretty, or just different things like that. But he's not interested in having a girlfriend. Now, if he was interested in having a girlfriend, I feel like I would want to know why. What is it? What do you think a girlfriend is? What do you want to do with this said girlfriend? Now, if
Right.
you want to go to the movies and you want to wine and dine and do all this stuff at 10, I
I
think
think
that's
that's a bit
questionable.
young. Yeah, that's a
Like,
bit
where are you getting this from? Now, if you want her to come over and like maybe go swimming, maybe we can invite a couple more friends and we can make it like a
a
little
play date type of
party
thing. Yeah.
or something like that. But again, I think that it's up to us as parents to be like, just find out more about what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and then have them play within the boundaries of what we think is okay. Like, just because he wants to date, okay, you're not going to date. We're going to have get togethers and we're going to get to know one another
Exactly.
better, but it's not dating.
I think the reason why this topic was just so, I guess, prevalent to me is because I really felt like I said, ear hustling from Malia's conversations and like, listening to her friends. And it could be an area thing, I really felt like, I mean, at 10 years old, I just wasn't even thinking about stuff like that. But I
Hmm.
also feel like, with social media and with, what's on TV and all those things, then, they're getting ideas and they're being influenced by stuff like that. So
Definitely.
I definitely understood, but then I also find myself thinking that Malia is socially delayed because I feel like she is thinking that those things are gross.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's a she's not comfortable telling mommy or if that really is just she's not interested.
Yeah.
So it's just different to me. Like I said, she is 10 and I do feel like she's like I don't know, like growing into herself, but at this time she is not interested, but I feel like the friends around her are
Right. And there could be like maybe some peer pressure to be like her friends or be fast, as
promiscuous.
our parents, yes, would call it.
Yeah.
Stop being fast.
Don't be a
But
Jezebel.
girl,
That's so old, a Jezebel.
but like you said, social media and all of these things are influencing these kids. They got promposals that are more extravagant than like wedding ceremonies, and you got kids buying $100 gifts for one another for Christmas and for your first month anniversary, and just
And
it
then
is
changing girlfriends and
wild to
boyfriends
me.
like draws.
What you say?
I say, and then changing boyfriends and girlfriends like draws.
Right, like not even staying,
You
not
said
even
what?
staying
What'd you
together.
say?
I heard draws and I was like,
Hold up now.
right.
Yeah.
But so I have three boys, and it's just I we have a blended family, okay?
Hmm.
And so the boys are here half the time, they're with their other parents the other half of the time, and we don't always agree on everything. Dating
Absolutely.
was one of the things that we did not agree on. Like I was firm and like, hey, they need to be able to brush their teeth, take showers, put on deodorant
Without
without
having to
having to
be
be,
asked. Yes.
thank you, without having to be told, asked, begged, none of that
Sniff
stuff.
tested.
Exactly. And if you can't take care of yourself, if you can't
You should not be
remember,
dating.
exactly, because if you can't look out for,
Self.
number one, then why are you trying to even entertain the thought of looking after somebody else?
Yeah.
And if you're trying to spend some money, whose money are you spending
Who
for
you look
one?
what you
You
don't
sure ain't
have.
spending my money.
I don't
You
like
ain't
your
spending my money and you can't even brush your teeth.
or your deodorant.
Right.
And you
Like,
talking about
let's
dating
get our
somebody.
priorities together.
Right.
Priorities. And so I was firm in the fact that I felt like, no, you don't need to be dating. There's too many other
Yeah.
things that you need to be focused on: school, sports, your relationship with the Lord is number one. Like, stop. This little girl has nothing for you. You have nothing for her.
Literally.
Literally. You can't even go pick her up. You got to ask me. So I don't know. There was so many different things. And I think 15 is I think that we can talk about dating before 15. Let's talk about what you look for in a girl. Let's talk about the types of things you would like to do. Let's talk about your emotional maturity. Girls are a lot more emotional than boys. Let's talk about feelings and all of those things leading up to dating, but let's just not jump into it just yet. And then when you do jump into it, let's talk about it step by step, like what needs to happen. And I know that you can't really control feelings, but I feel like if you have kind of a game plan, or a little bit about what you're going to be doing before you do it, then it'll make it a little bit easier, or at least easier to talk about it and navigate it.
Excuse me. Do I feel like 10 and 11 years old is extremely young? Absolutely. I want to keep open lines of communication. I do feel like 10 and 11 years old is extremely young, but I still don't know if I can put an actual number on it. And I guess I feel like because in my mind, there's nothing that you can do. You can't go anywhere. Like you can't do anything. So that's why I feel like you can call it whatever you want to call it, but realistically, they're your male friend, they're your female friend. So I think like that's the biggest thing to me. And then I think, I mean, I guess maybe I should define it that if you want to say this is your boyfriend, this is your girlfriend, you're gonna do that outside of, you not in my face or not. You're gonna do that when you get to school, whatever the case is gonna be. Um, when it comes to you want to go out and you want to go to the movies and hang out and go to an arcade and stuff like that, I do feel like 14, 15 is the appropriate age because I feel like by
Yeah.
16, you start driving. And so that
Right.
is when it really becomes worrisome. So I
Hmm.
do kind of feel like, hopefully at 14, we're talking about everything under the sun, and 15, 15 and a half, you're ready to make that decision to have a significant other and make sure that we're focusing on those boundaries and just being safe because I feel like if there is a will, there's a way.
Yeah. And kids are
So,
slick. They are so good at just manipulating,
hmm,
conniving. And we were kids once and we knew how to get our way. I mean, kind of, because
I was scared. Yeah,
when my parents said
was
no,
scared. That's what it
I
meant was
remember
no.
I remember one time I was in choir and we went to, oh my gosh, where did we go? We went to some high school and I didn't get any attention at the school that I went to, but baby, when we went to different schools, there was like different boys who like were talking to me, and one of them got my number, and I remember going, I was so excited. I remember going home. I don't remember if I told my dad or if this boy just called me. His name was Cedric. And
If you're watching Cedric, she remembers this.
I do remember girl, because like I said, zero attention. And
Get it,
the good
Cedric coming in
old
for the win.
right. But
He got them
he called
digits.
me. Yes, he called me. And landlines and stuff back in the day. We had a phone upstairs, we had a phone downstairs. And I was talking on the phone with this boy one time, and my dad picked up the phone and he was like, Leah, get off this phone.
While Cedric was on the phone?
While Cedric was on the phone, I was like, I gotta go.
Remember?
And right. And then so I hung up, and then my dad was like, Leah, what are you thinking? You cannot talk to boys. Don't have no boys call this house. Don't have them call his phone anymore. And I was like devastated because one, there was no explanation. He
Yeah,
didn't
no
say
conversation about it
why.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a conversation. He didn't ask me the boy's age. He didn't ask me where he was from, how I met him. He didn't ask me why I was interested. It was just, no, stop it. It's not happening again. And that's it. And I was like, I don't want that for my kids, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like, again, conversation, communication, open communication. And if it is a no, then why? Why are you saying no? And I've had this conversation with my middle boy about catching feelings fast, and you have a big heart, you have a lot to offer, but you're still a child, and you cannot be giving your everything away to everybody all the time just because you have it to give.
Hmm.
Now, it was a no, but it was a conversation about it. So, and I think sometimes parents these days feel like they have to tell their kids yes all the time, and that's not the case. Like, you are the parent, you can say no, but if you say no, explain why. So then maybe that will help them understand, okay, not yet. And that's another thing. No and not yet are two different things. So how about we use not yet a lot more than we
Use
do?
no.
Yeah.
I don't recall having that conversation with my mom either. Like, I don't recall. I think I was too scared to ask her if I could or if I couldn't. I think that my mom was a disciplinarian. She demanded respect. And I don't know if I feel like we were able to have those transparent conversations. And maybe, I didn't even allow her the opportunity because I felt like I was scared. I
Yeah.
felt like I should not be having those feelings. So I think that maybe that played a big part. And I think with that playing a big part, I know hands down for sure, I am not my kid's friend. And I know that's, a big topic and that's very
Right.
controversial, but I know I'm not my kid's friends. Now,
Hmm.
I'm friendly with them, but we are not friends. I am
Yeah.
your mother. But I do, however, try to make them feel comfortable to come and talk to me and explain things
Right.
to them. And I also feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also feel like culturally, we were not allowed to ask why. Like,
No,
no was just no.
it was no.
And yeah, and I feel like you couldn't ask why because it was like a sign of disrespect. And so that's why I really over explain to both of my children, Malia in specific, because she is older. But I'm also thankful that she feels comfortable saying things to me.
Right.
Yeah, because I know that like I said, she's 10 and in her group of associates and me overhearing stuff and just me monitoring her phone calls and conversations and stuff like that, I know that, one of her associates, the boy that I guess the girl called herself liking, sent her a nude picture. And I just thought to myself, like, these
Absolutely
kids
not.
are 9 and 10 and they're doing things like this. And
Right.
so in my mind, I just felt like, okay, we can keep that line of communication open, then maybe she will, tell me these things. And surprisingly, she actually did.
Yeah.
I think she was scared. So surprisingly, she did tell me that this happened to her associate. But again, I feel like that's kind of why I go back to I don't know if if it's an age because I just want my children to feel like they can come and talk to me. But I definitely agree that, we should put boundaries in place. So maybe I'm just not focusing so much on the word dating and just thinking that, okay, so you're attracted to somebody or you like
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think that they will even ask. I feel like I mean, Savannah's only 6, but I feel like I don't know, like I said, I feel like maybe my girls are a little bit sheltered
Yeah.
and they're not exposed to a lot of things. So I think they don't ask yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very uncomfortable conversation for Malia at this time.
Grayson asked, and I said no. I
How old was
explained
he when
why.
he asked?
I think it was like 12 or 13. And I said no, but again, there were reasons behind it. I explained to him why, but it wasn't upheld. So he did what he was allowed to do.
Well, like I said, I don't know if I think that, not to be redundant, but there is an appropriate age because I feel like maybe we can all agree or disagree that I think it depends on the child's how social they are. I think it
Mhm.
depends on their maturity level. I feel like it depends on each child. I feel like I said, I don't want to say socially delayed because I know I did describe Malia as to me being socially delayed, but I think more so just sheltered because we don't expose her to a lot of things. But I know for a fact that her being 10, she's not obviously ready to date. And as far as I know, she has not expressed that she's even attracted to somebody. When you said that, Gray was liking somebody at 11 or 12, I feel like that's when it will possibly start coming out. I
Yeah.
feel. I'm not sure, but I feel. Now, would I let
Yeah.
her go on a date at 11 and 12? I feel like what could you possibly do? Like there's nothing that you can do. Like where can y'all go?
Mm.
So
For you. I'm trying to think.
yeah.
Do you think that if you tell your child, oh, you can't date, do you think that keeping them sheltered and um I guess keeping them from dating longer will help them in the long run, or do you think that it will stunt their growth? Do you think that it will cause them to want to do more quicker? What do you think? I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think no, I understand. I think that by not, I guess, allowing them to date and stuff like that, I do think that it will hinder them. But I don't feel like it's like a if they can't date, they're like doomed type of thing. And again, maybe I'm just not really focusing so much on the dating, but just allowing
The
them to express
interaction.
their attraction and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because I want them to. So I feel like where we go wrong, or I don't want to say where my mom went wrong, because I feel like she did the best that she could, and I still feel like that society is so much different. I am striving. Let me just say that. I am striving to not make my girls feel like talking to the opposite sex is just so bad or talking to the
Right.
same sex is just so bad. I mean, let's just be honest at this day and age. I feel like when we put emphasis on you can't talk on the phone to a boy, you can't talk on the phone, to a girl, I feel like it makes them question like why. And I do absolutely feel like there should be boundaries. Malia has asked for AirPods just because she does a lot of like games and stuff like that, but that's not an option 'cause I need to know, what you're
What's
being
being
exposed
said.
to.
Right.
Yes. So that's why I feel like I don't want to say you can't talk on the phone to boys because I don't want to create a problem if there's not a problem.
Hmm.
Who's to say that this person is not just genuinely her friend? So I feel like I want to keep those lines of communication open until you show me that there's a problem. Now, if I notice that you're, liking this person or attracted to this person, or maybe, you all are saying some things or you're being inquisitive about some things that I feel like, is a little bit like questionable, then I think at that time we will probably begin to kind of pull back. Now, I do think that me and Jared are not on the same page with that. And I think because, he's a dad, I think that he feels like she should not be talking on the phone to no boys. And I do understand it from his point of view, but I also feel like I know how I felt as a girl. Just my mom, again, we never talked about it, I don't think, but that alone, I feel like made me feel like I had to sneak.
Right.
So I just feel like if you, like you said, explain, tell them why, then I feel like it makes a big difference. But yeah, I just feel like it's all about how you like handle it and how you introduce them to it. So
Do you think there's a difference with boys and girls? Like I have boys, you have girls. Do you think that um it matters their sex, or is it strictly because you know how people say I only have, like, if you have a boy I only got to worry about one, but if you got a girl you got to worry about all of the, the
mhm.
boys. And so how do you feel about that? Do you think you
I
should
think
be
it
more
does matter.
protective?
I think it does matter. And I do think that you have to be more protective over girls just because I feel like, they get hormonal. I believe that
Mhm.
boys obviously do go through puberty, but obviously, as a female gets older, she begins to have her cycle. And I think that's a whole, another can of worms. And
Mhm.
so one minute you happy, next minute you about to,
Just sad,
yeah, just
crying.
go crazy.
I love him.
Um,
Oh, I'm so mad at him.
Right. Then I gotta knock her head between the two by fours.
Right.
So yeah, so I do think that it matters, the sex, because I guess I feel like now I don't know because again I was not allowed to date, but I feel like girls are inquisitive and so are boys, but I feel like girls they can get pregnant, they can be taken advantage of, and that is really sexist to feel like boys can't
Because
be
they
taken advantage
can.
of. Absolutely, absolutely. I guess just feel like if they decide to make that big decision that they want to kiss and experience, experiment and stuff like that, then, you have your boys and you just have your boys. Now I have my girl and a baby on the way,
Hmm.
possibly. So I do feel like, it is a difference. I feel like you have to kind of be a little bit more vocal when it comes to
Hmm.
girls. But then on the other side, you have to worry about, telling your boys that no means no, you know?
Right.
So I think
Yeah.
that it can kind of go, both ways. But I mean,
I
like
have
we
stressed it
said,
to my boys so much. And I'm talking even at home with, just the boys, with brothers. If y'all are joking around, kidding around, slapping, poking, punching,
and they
if
say
your
no,
brother
that's
says
it.
stop,
Yeah.
he means stop. And I was
Yes.
raised that way. If you say no or if you say stop, that's what it means. Don't
Yes.
take it to the next level. Don't get one more poke or jab because you start messing with people and then you poke a bear, you're going to get scratched, bit,
Yes.
mauled.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
I tell my girls, all the time that, no means no. So, like I said, I feel like on the girl side, you have to worry about like their cycle and you have to worry about, those raging hormones and you have to worry about, them possibly getting pregnant and, even diseases, obviously. And then I feel like, on the side of boys, you have to worry about, being no and them not being in a situation that, is irreversible.
right.
So I guess because I don't have any boys, of course, I feel like it's probably harder, with girls,
Hmm.
but that's to be determined, because like I said, I knew how it was for me and I was
Yeah.
inquisitive and, I didn't believe that fat meat was greasy. So I do feel like it's a difference.
Yeah. And like with boys, you have to be careful too because I mean, girls can say anything. They can catch
Hmm.
feelings so quick. And if this boy is not reciprocating, or if he, um, is like, hey, let's just be friends, or if he's like, I liked you 5 minutes ago, but now I'm not feeling you, this little
Right.
girl can say anything she wants to say. And then it's her word against your son's word.
Yeah.
And there's a whole another thing that you have to worry about. With boys, you have to make it plain to them that I know that boys are emotional creatures. I know, I get it, but women are more so. And they can be vindictive, they can be
Hmm.
hateful, jealous, all kinds of things. And so you cannot call yourself being in a relationship and having this girl's heart on her sleeve and then you change your mind and then everything is up in the air with her. Like she can determine your future.
Yeah.
If you break her heart, if you look at her sideways, if you tell her no, there's just so many things that you have to worry about.
And I feel
um
like, just peer pressure, like I mean, piggybacking off of that, like you said, I mean, I like you one time and now 5 minutes later, I don't like you. And I feel like just what I see, again, to keep talking about my oldest one, just what I see and just her making sure that like her friends aren't mad at her associates aren't mad at her, and just, her navigating what's a friend and what's not a friend. I feel like, and maybe kids in general, but I know from experience my girl, I feel like deals with peer pressure.
yeah.
And, oh, he doesn't like me. What can I do for him to like me? Or if you let me do X, Y, and Z, I'll like you again.
Right.
So that, that's why I feel like to me, it is a difference between the boys and the girls because I worry about those things. But I also feel like, is it how you talk to them? Is it how you raise them? Is it how many conversations you're having? Is it the way that you can just explain to them the why for it to be different?
I don't know. I truly don't because I really feel like I've said before, I'm pretty sure I said this in a different episode. I want my boys to tell me everything. If something itches, burns, if you stink worse than you did yesterday, if, this girl broke your heart, whatever it is, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I know that kids can be handed the world. They can live a soft, good
Yes.
life, and they still make decisions that you never thought they would make.
Yeah.
You have expressed in every shape, way, and form that you're loved, you're cared for. You can come to me about anything. And then you get blindsided by some crazy thing that has happened or that's been said or done. And you have no control over other kids either. That's another factor that we don't have a say in.
Right.
And it's wild that you can literally have the perfect environment for your child, or as close to perfect as you can make it, and something crazy can happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, not I guess I kind of feel like it's not a one size fits all type of question, to be honest, because
Yeah.
again, I feel like, 14, 15, 15 and a half, is a good age to technically be dating, but I still feel like whatever the age, come and talk to mommy.
Yeah,
Come tell mommy who
definitely.
you like, and I'll tell you if y'all dating,
Exactly. And I'll
but
tell you
yeah.
to stop.
Right. So yeah, I do think that no, I do not think there should be an age on when it's appropriate for a child to date. I think again, I will, stand on the side of their maturity level, how social they are, and to each like their own child. Because who's to say even at, 15 that you're mature enough to make that kind of decision. So I feel like it just depends for
Yeah.
me. For me and my household, it depends. But I definitely think that, 9, 10, 11 is significantly young. I just hope that if and when the time comes that we're obviously having a very candid conversation.
Yeah. Well, that ship has sailed. Excuse me, for one of my kids, but we're still playing it by ear with the other two. And I think that as far as exploring a friendship, the younger age is fine. But when you call yourself dating, which is more than just play dates and stuff, I think minimum 15. And I'm not saying like at 15 you can start dating. I'm just saying like that's when we can start thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to start dating at 15, but I think that's when it should be called dating, if that makes
That's what I
sense.
was just about to say. I was just about to say, you have three boys and they range in all, different ages, but pretty similar in age. Do you feel like when you put an age on it that if they're not reaching that peak of, I don't have a girlfriend and I'm 15, I don't have a girlfriend and I'm 16, I don't have a girlfriend, and now I'm 17. Do you
Mhm.
feel like putting an age on it, puts pressure on it?
I don't, so I haven't given them an age. Like I
That's
haven't
just what you
said,
feel in your mind.
yeah, that's how I feel
Okay.
in my mind. And I feel like, let's say if Trey came to me tomorrow and was like, Mom, I want to have a girlfriend, I would say, well, a girlfriend is not ideal. It's not appropriate for your age. If you want,
Yes.
we can have so and so over, or we can go to the movies, but she's not your girlfriend. We're just going to spend some time together. Now, the older they get, like if Everett wanted to start dating tomorrow, and he
Hmm.
was like, I want a girlfriend. Okay, so you're at least 15. It is considered dating. Why do you like her? Let's explore, what type of dates you would take her on and different things like that. So that's where Trey, it would be, she's not your girlfriend. Ever, it
Right.
would be, okay, yeah, it's you're 15, 16. Let's talk about it more, if that makes sense.
It does. So I
I
don't know
don't
if you
think,
answered the. Go ahead.
yeah, I didn't answer the question. So I don't think I have an age in my mind. Trey doesn't start dating till he's 19. That'll just be his choice. I don't think that he would feel, I wouldn't pressure him, or I don't think that he would feel pressured to have a girlfriend by 15 or 16 or 17. But he'll know if he approaches me before 15 that is not a girlfriend.
Not an
If it's
option.
after 15, then yeah, let's talk about more of what a girlfriend entails, of what being a boyfriend entails, and how we're gonna move through this.
How much privacy do you feel like you will be giving them at 15? So I know that you've said that, like, they can go to the movies and they can do X, Y, and Z. At 15, would you allow like them to come over and be in the basement with the door open, but you guys are upstairs?
So yeah, but your brothers are gonna be downstairs with you,
So somebody's gonna be downstairs.
and we also have ring cameras,
Okay.
and those are
Yeah.
going to be on during that time because
So not
kids
too
are
much privacy.
opportunists.
Oh
Yeah, not
yeah.
too much privacy at all. Because again, you give a kid an inch, they'll take a mile.
Yes.
And I'm doing things differently with my kids. I'm not gonna be a super young grandma. I'm not gonna be my kids. I have hopes and expectations of them, and we're not about that life. Y'all are gonna know
Yeah.
how it's gonna be, and if you don't like it, then we'll explain. We'll talk about why you don't like it, but it still is what it is. We will
Okay.
leave the door open. Your brothers are going to be downstairs with you. I actually just told Grayson, because he's having a pool party this coming weekend. I actually told him, you know, when your group of friends is here, y'all all are going to be together. Two of y'all aren't going to go do this and five ain't going to
Right.
do. No, you're all going to be together. You're not separating, and you're not going downstairs when the girls are here. Y'all are going to be outside, and
Right.
then when it's just the boys, then y'all can go downstairs and kick it. That's fine. But I am not that parent who's going to be like, oh, you can come over and you can just like do whatever. No, no, we're going to have rules, regulations, boundaries. And the older you get, the more we'll talk about, you know, what else you can
Yes.
explore, but it's not going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess to answer, the question, the $1 million question, what's the appropriate age when it comes to dating? I think we'll stand on, I don't know if I think there's an appropriate age, but that may change. Like I said,
Yeah.
my girls, I'm not talking about dating or liking boys. So as of today, I don't think there is an age for me. Ask me again when they start asking me.
Right.
So, before we close, we did post this on our Facebook page, and one of our viewers, the question was asked to him. His name is David Musette, and he actually stated that he has an, I believe, let's see, I think she's 10, he said, and he felt like the appropriate. He said grade was either eighth or ninth grade. He
Okay.
said, but his daughter, no, his daughter just turned 10. The thought of boys being around her makes him want to go to prison. So
Not prison.
I think he answered that question.
Right.
So yeah, so we will have many more discussions, and we will be posting many more of these on our Facebook page, and we will be asking our viewers for their feedback. So we love for you all to interact with us, and hope we can get a shout out. So
Yes, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe at our YouTube page at Let's Talk About It with Leah and Jaleesa.
yes, see you guys next time.
Bye.